American Werewolf in London is a 1981 film written and directed by John Landis, starring David Naughton, Jenny Agutter, and Griffin Dunne, as two American tourists are savaged by an unidentified vicious animal while hiking in northern England. Arrow Video presents this film with a brand new 4K restoration from the original camera negative. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment, and I'm very excited today guys because I get to talk about one of my all-time favorite horror movies, the 1981 horror monster movie creature feature classic, An American Werewolf in London, directed by John Landis. So this was just released by Arrow Video, and I will be leaving the link down below for purchase. This week, actually, this was put out on 4K. So I'm super excited to dive into this one, guys. We're going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about the audio picture quality. We're going to talk about features, packaging, all of that good stuff. I'm also going to tell you how it compares to the 2019 Blu-ray release by Arrow Video, because I do have that as well. And yeah, I'm just going to give you, I'm going to paint an overall picture of whether or not I think that you should get this release by Arrow Video. But before we get into it, guys, I want to ask, this is your first time discovering me here on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. I do all kinds of physical media content. I do Blu-ray 4K reviews. I do collection updates, unboxing videos, live streams with other collectors, physical media reports, news updates, tons of physical media content every single day on this channel. If you like that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button. Also, be sure to like this video and comment down below what's your thoughts on American Werewolf in London. Is it one of your favorite horror movies like it is mine? One of your favorite John Landis films? What's your thoughts on this movie? Have you never seen it? Or are you going to be watching it for the first time with this Arrow Video release? Are you going to purchase it based on my recommendation? Leave it in the comment section below. Yeah, guys, let's get into American Werewolf. Like I said, I'm going to share my thoughts on the movie. Going to try to give you as non-spoiler thoughts on the movie as I can. I don't really want to spoil too much with the plot and stuff, especially if you've never seen it, because there are some twists and turns within this movie. But this is, like I said, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And in terms of like horror movies, this movie just feels like something so different than anything that I've ever seen before. Like this movie, there's nothing like this movie. I cannot compare it to any other movie. The only other movie you can compare it to is The Wolfman from 1941. This is really John Landis's retelling of that classic Universal monster film from 1941. Even done by Universal, it was done by the same company. So this is really a retelling of that story. He does that in the vein of that classic monster movie, but just puts such a unique spin on this film. He just perfectly balances like all of these different genres. Like this movie has horror, it has comedy, it has romance, like it has all these genres. All of them are competing together throughout this film, but none of them take away from each other. He executes them all so perfectly and they all work so incredibly well. It's like really just, it's so impressive. Like you don't see that kind of stuff often. Usually like people can complain like with some movies, well, I thought it had a little bit too much comedy in that horror movie, so it took away from the horror. Thought the horror was a little bit too strong, took away from the comedy. I thought this took away from that. A little bit too much action, a little bit too much this and that. All these genres just work so seamlessly well together, and they only enhance each other and they don't take away from each other. So that's one of the biggest positive for this that I can say, is that it's just, it feels so unique. Like there's nothing else like this movie. And I think that's why I'm drawn to it every single time I watch it. And yeah, John Landis does such a great job of this movie. Primarily known for being a comedy director, directed Trading Places, you know, Blues Brothers, Coming to America, all these classic comedies. And he has directed one of the best werewolf monster horror films of all time with American Werewolf in London. And I can't think off the top of my head if he ever dived into the horror genre again. I'm sure somebody can comment that down below if I'm incorrect in that assumption, but I don't think that he did. But yeah, my history with this movie, I want to talk about my history with this movie for a little bit. I saw this movie probably when I was like 6 or 7 for the first time. I remember watching this, and I talked about my aunt. She used to be a Laserdisc collector, so we would go over to her house and we watch movies on VHS, Laserdisc, and stuff like that. I remember watching Terminator 2 on Laserdisc at her house at a very young age. Well, she popped in American Werewolf in London one night on Laserdisc, and I only remember the first 15 minutes because after those first 15 minutes, I was like in the other room with my head underneath a blanket. And I don't think I finished and watched the rest of the film. The beginning of this movie freaked me the hell out. And it's such a great opening. This movie just really starts off with a bang with the characters of David and Jack, and they're exploring northern England. They're like tourists coming over there. But there's a scene in the beginning, and again, I don't want to get too spoiler-y in here, but they're walking, they're hiking, and the werewolf comes and attacks them, and that scene is just so it's so scary, like the way that they set up everything, the way it's executed. It's such a frightening sequence, and yeah, watching that at like 6 or 7 like scared me out of my mind. And I had this thing, like, and I don't know if it was consciously or subconsciously, like my entire life, I stayed away from werewolf films. Like, and every time I watched a werewolf film, I remember watching American Werewolf in Paris, I think, when it came out, but there was always something inside me that got extremely scared and terrified, just like almost irrationally. It couldn't even have been that scary of a werewolf movie, but every time I saw a werewolf on screen, just something kind of lit up inside me. I was like, oh, this is scary. I don't like this. So I just kind of stayed away from the werewolf genre for a long time. I never saw The Wolfman until recently, but every time I watched some kind of werewolf movie, it always sparked something in me. So it took me a while to even return to this movie because of that. And I've loved horror my entire life. It just is something about this one right here. Until Arrow Video came out with this Blu-ray release. And then I rewatched it for the first time since I was probably 6 or 7. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely fell in love with it. Again, one of my top 50 movies of all time. That probably one of my top 10 horror movies of all time. Absolutely love this movie. I think I watched this Arrow release like 3 or 4 times. It was one of my favorite Arrow releases that they've ever done. It's probably still my favorite artwork that they've ever done. We'll get into that here in a second. But yeah, that's my history with the film. Watched it at a very young age, scared out of my mind. I didn't revisit it till recently. Now I get to watch it again in 4K. So the pacing to this movie, absolutely perfect. Like I said, starts off with a bang. You get that werewolf attack sequence at the beginning of the film. Then David's kind of carted off to London, and the nurse takes care of him. They have their little romance, and you know that builds the tension because you know he's bit, you know it's a ticking clock. He's gonna turn into the werewolf at some point in the movie, and then it happens. And like one of the probably the best special effects sequence in film history with that transformation, the werewolf transformation sequence. It holds up so well. Every time I watch it, I'm like, I can't. If they did that now, I'd be like, how the hell did they do that? Like, that looks so good. There's just no way they could do that. And this was done over 40 years ago. The 41st anniversary of this movie is this month, so it makes it even more impressive. Rick Baker, master of the craft. Like these special effects guys, this transformation sequence is like world class. Like there is nothing like it. I mean, he did effects work for Michael Jackson's Thriller, which is another thing that was kind of like a werewolf transformation I remember watching when I was growing up. So yeah, Rick Baker, this whole thing is, like I said, world class. Like there's nothing like this transformation sequence. It's so freaking good. It lasts for what feels like forever. You just have to witness him transform into this beast. And yeah, it lasts like 5-10 minutes. It's horrific. It's like all the body horror elements are there. Like he's in pain. I just love how it starts. Like he's just listening to Bad Moon Rises, pacing the room. He's waiting. He knows that something's going to happen. He's waiting for that full moon. And then when it happens, it's you know it's coming, but it happens out of nowhere. And I just love it. He's like, I'm burning up. I feel hot. And he rips off all of his clothes. I just love the setup. It could be played for laughs the way he does it, but he just plays it so good. Like he just sells the terror and the pain simultaneously just so well. I love that transformation sequence. It's really just a highlight of the movie. That's why everybody, when you talk about American Werewolf in London, almost immediately with anybody that's seen it, that the transformation sequence gets brought up first. Every single time because it's just so iconic, so good. I'm going to be showing like clips and stuff of it as I'm talking through this review. But yeah, it's great. The effects works are great. So overall, guys, I love the characters in this movie. I just love Jack and David's chemistry together. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, but they just have some great like witty banter, back and forth dialogue with each other. Like right from the beginning of the movie, just sets up these two characters and their relationship with each other so perfectly. And I love the dialogue. I love these two characters together throughout the film. And then you got David and the nurse, who he falls in love with. The nurse played by Jenny Agutter, who the only other movie movie that comes off the top of my head with her is Child's Play 2. I remember she was Andy's foster mom in that movie. I just love her and David's romance. You like really feel, you know, the emotion with them, and that leads up into the finale of the film where you really, you know, get a heart-wrenching scene, but it's a very emotional and just well-built romantic storyline in the film, and I really appreciate them in this comedy horror film to have to inject something else into it and pull it off so well. I just really appreciate them devoting the time to actually making you feel that chemistry and that emotion, because a lot of horror movies, like, they don't take the time to do stuff like that. They just want you to feel the emotion and the romance and stuff like that, and the love that these two characters, because they're not really together a whole long time in the movie. I feel like lesser films would present these two characters and put them together in a relationship, and then like expect you to feel something for both of them way too soon. In this movie, like, they're not together for too long, but what they do with them, with the little time that they have with them, is very impactful and very meaningful. And I think that they built it really expertly throughout the film. So yeah, really enjoy the romance in this movie. I love everything about this movie. It's a great, you know, romance. This movie has it all: comedy, romance, a little bit of adventure, horror, and it just does it all so well. So American Werewolf in London, guys, it's just one of the best movies of all time. I got to give this movie, as a movie, guys, I'm not going to give it perfect. I'm not going to give it a perfect score. I do love the movie. It's a shorter film. I feel like with this one, they could have done a little bit more to flesh some stuff out and just make it that masterpiece, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 movie. So it's probably like a 4.75 out of 5. But since I can't put that score on Letterboxd, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 for the actual movie. So getting into the transfer of this one, guys. So this is the first time this film has been presented in 4K. Like I said, Arrow Video came out with the Blu-ray release back in 2019. Now the Blu-ray release was supervised. The Blu-ray 2K HD transfer was supervised by John Landis himself. Not the case with this 4K transfer. It was not supervised by John Landis, but this is a 4K with native 4K transfer with HDR10 and Dolby Vision, and it looks stunning. It looks absolutely stunning. I did compare it a little bit with the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray looks really great. Like, I thought this looked, to be honest, if you own this and you don't want to spend the extra money right now to upgrade, you can probably do without it. Maybe wait for a potential price drop in the future, especially if you already have this case. You can just buy the regular, you know, release at some point in the future. This is a fine transfer. It's a very fine transfer. I thought it was great when it first came out, but this really, guys, if you're a physical media junkie and you're, addicted to the upgrade and you need all the latest upgrades and stuff, and you want your films to look the absolute best they possibly can, it don't get no better than this, guys. Arrow Video did a freaking bang up job with this release. Like the HDR10, like, you can tell when David and Jack first come on the screens and they're wearing their jackets, their green and red jackets. Those green and red jackets just pop. It's so red, it's so green. It really stands out in front of that, Northern England, like, gloomy, like, backdrop. The gloomy grass just kind of looks like fall and winter time, but those jackets, they just really pop in contrast against that. And when it starts raining, you can just see the rain, like, glistening off of them. It looks so good. All the blood and stuff in this movie that they show, like, just looks awesome. Like, just with the HDR, it just looks so vibrant. This whole thing, the whole transfer looks great. I'm trying to think of some other standout scenes. The transformation sequence itself, like, right there, guys, when his eyes, when it pops up and they glow yellow, like, it just pops. This movie's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, this is good transfer, solid transfer. But my God, this is another level. Arrow Video, you know how they do with their 4K transfers. They do great job on everything. No different here, guys. They definitely improved upon that Blu-ray. So excellent transfer across the board. As for the audio, you do get a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. So no Dolby Atmos with this release. So I know that's probably going to turn off some people that do want Atmos with all of their 4K releases. Definitely understandable if you have that setup. I don't have that set up, so I'm not necessarily disappointed unless I did have it. So I'm just listening to it on a soundbar. Everything sounded good to me, but I can imagine that this would sound great with surround sound. Just hearing that werewolf scream off in the distance, especially in those opening sequences. It's so terrifying, that opening sequence. But Just hearing that werewolf scream from behind probably sound excellent. Let me know if you've watched this, how that sounds down below. But all right, so we've gotten through the movie, we've gotten through the visuals, audio quality. Let's get into a little bit of negativity with this release, guys. So one thing I'll say, and this is what I was trying to allude to with the differences between the transfers and stuff. So I have both of these releases. It's the exact same packaging. It's the exact same, like down to the cards. I did the unboxing. You can go check it out. Down to the cards, down to the poster, down to the booklet, down to the case itself. There is no difference in packaging here with these two releases, guys. And another thing that I need to say is with this, the 4K disc has all the special features. With this, the Blu-ray disc has all the special features. So I'm tempted to keep them both. I thought about selling the Blu-ray one, but I might just keep them both because this doesn't come with a Blu-ray and this doesn't obviously come with a 4K. So I might want a Blu-ray copy and a 4K copy in case I'm in the office and want to pop this in on Blu-ray or something. So I might end up keeping them both, but I might sell the case if anybody's, interested in that. But yeah. There's no distinction. I would have liked at least a little bit, maybe like a 4K symbol on here or something. There's no distinction until you take the actual case out. Then it says 4K on the case itself. So I just wanted them to do something a little bit different. I don't know if they had to do different artwork or maybe do like Scream Factory's doing with theirs. Like they're doing the classic poster on their new 4Ks that are being upgraded from the previous Blu-rays. Maybe you put that classic American Werewolf poster on this cover. That would have been cool, and they could have done the reversible cover art with this poster. Even though I love this artwork, I need something different. I need something different with this release. It feels lazy to do the exact same thing. Because they just brought back all the cases to do this one. So again, if this is your first time buying it, like you're not going to have a problem with it, especially if you missed out on this beautiful case the first time, because I know it was a limited run thing. But if this is your first time buying it, like you'll be excited to get it. It's great artwork. I'm sure you'll be fine. But if you bought this one back when it came out, like I did, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. You just can't help it. And the same thing with special features. They're all the exact same special features. Now they are on the 4K disc, so at least you have that. They are presented in 4K. But again, all the same features, nothing different, nothing new with this release. So at the end of the day, guys, I'm basing my overall score on you buying this for the first time. So let's say you didn't get the Blu-ray release. It is absolutely worth it. This is a great release. It's a great movie. The transfer is fantastic. The special features are awesome. Like there's tons of makings of, interviews, tons of audio commentaries. There's tons of great special features with this release, guys. So if you don't already have that one, you'll be completely satisfied with this, hands down. But I have to take away a little bit just because it's the exact same stuff for the people that purchase this Blu-ray. So as an overall release, guys, I would love to give it a 5 out of 5 because it's great, but I gotta give it a 4.5 out of 5 just for, not doing anything new with the packaging and the special features. So there you have it, guys. That is my review for American Werewolf in London, the 4K from Arrow Video. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be leaving the link for purchase in the description below if you decide to purchase it based on my recommendation. So appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, comment down below your thoughts on American Werewolf in London, turn on those bell notifications, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are in the description, and we'll see you next time.